So again, thanks for the show. Thanks for the opportunity to have a conversation about our country and our people and the future of our children and ourselves. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about home. The only home we really have. We have two now, but the home that we are born in, our naval seas are buried in. It's always a good thing to talk about that. Today, I want us to have this conversation about um, why we talk, what is going on, what's the purpose of protest. I think it's often that Liberian people. I was just watching my friend Vendetta Patrick on Spoon TV, and he says something that kind of triggered a thought in my head. He said his statement was, why are we crying more than the bereaved? Why are you crying more than the bereaved? I think that statement is profound, and here's why. The statement is saying that if it doesn't affect you, why do you care? Well, if it doesn't directly affect you, why do you care? Well, I will argue that everything that deals with the well-being of the entire country directly affects each and every one of us. If you still have people in that country, if you have empathy, it directly affects you. It affects your conscience. It affects your state of being. It affects who you are. It affects people you care about. So it affects you. When he made that statement, he was talking about money that was supposed to be spent, millions of dollars that was supposed to be spent on poor people that just absconded, and no one knows where the millions went. And he was arguing that people are being hired and always has been high, have been higher, not based on merit, but based on who you know. And that's the system we have now. And he said the system is just is ingrained, is cooked, is baked in. Well, I think here's the problem. He also said something that the people who donated the money, they need to go figure out what happened with the money. And I think there lies the problem. Our people want someone to come and save them. Our people believe that somebody from somewhere is going to come and save them. Doesn't work that way. Because I studied these people's history when I got here, the Native Americans used to do this thing called a rain dance
Mm-hmm.
as their land was being taken from them. They expected some savior to come and save them.
Some supernatural power. Yeah.
Yeah, they expected someone to come and save them. What happened was the entire continent, North America, North America, Central America, South America, their language got changed. Here's where I'm pointing at, I'm driving at. How many people do you have to kill for the language of an entire continent to change? To English, to Spanish, to Portuguese. Those are all European languages. No one came to save them. No one has ever come to save anyone. We have to do it ourselves. So we can either say, pass the ball, kick the can down the road, and say, "Oh, let the people in Liberia do it," or let the diaspora, because they have some power or they have money, let them do it. They have connections, let them do it. No, we have to rise up ourselves. You got to save yourself, guys. I said this before. I'm gonna say it again. There was this guy who wrote a book in America's history, in the late 1800s. Horatio Alger was his name. This is where the conservative part of where the conservative mindsets come from. They believe that you need to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. What they're saying is they have a social Darwinistic mindset. If you don't look to save yourself, you deserve to be conquered. Survivor of the fittest. Only the strong survive. So if you sit there and expect someone to come and save you and rescue you, that's never going to happen. So for those of us who innately fight, who there are some people who are just fighters by nature. We need to galvanize the rest of the people so that we can fight for what we believe ought to happen. Or we could just allow the people who've always done things a certain way to continue to do it. Now, Sandy, there's a video of the Ghanaian president. What's his name again?
John Mahama.
Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we play the video now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll play.
He's talking about austerity. Austerity. What is austerity? Whenever there is crisis when it comes to money, just like any home, sometimes money's just tight. Something happened. Someone got laid off. Someone an emergency happened. There was something. Or we just didn't make enough money and taxes had to be paid. We had to. Okay, we can't go out for ice cream today. This month, we can't go to movies. We can't go for dinner. We can't get that brand new car. We have to wait. You have to make sacrifices. This man is talking about the sacrifice he's willing to make. Now, Cindy, when was the last time you heard our leader? This is part of the reason I don't respect the man. I'm a father. Your children are struggling and starving. You should be the last person to take from that pot.
To eat. Yep.
You should be the very last one. That's what men do. Real men.
Real men.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Doesn't matter the age. Men step back and let the women and children eat first. This man have said nothing. He is still taking his lion's share. Him and his oligarchs.
Oligarchs, yes.
Bush oligarchs. His primitive wannabe kings and queens. Aristocrats. They're taken while we watch our moms and children suffer. How's that a good person? I just want people to hear what this Ghanaian man said. Listen to him. This is what FDR did in this country. This is what, anytime a country goes through crisis, real leaders step up and lead. This is how you lead. You guys, the boat is sinking. Women and children first. You guys go. If we don't survive, kiss our kids, tell them we love them. But you go. This man have never done that. How is that a good person? How is that someone that deserves respect? In which planet? If this was a room full of men, none of us would respect that man. None of us. So yeah, please play the video so we can get started.
Here's the video. And I don't know what else is pulling here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and play that. Most of you might just hear the voice because it's not too, how you call it? So
it's next to what you.
One thing that is a cardinal principle for us is to tell the truth at all times. We all knew the economy was in crisis, but some of the things I'm discovering myself, it's been a criminal handling of our economy. And Ghana is a crime scene, actually, because how a government can have been so reckless, I cannot understand. But we're faced with a reality, and our options are very few. We can behave like the ostrich and hide our heads in the sand and let the economy crash. But then what effect will it have on Ghanaian households and everybody? And so I've told him, I said, cut expenditure as much as you like. Even we ourselves in Office of Government Machinery, cut as much of our budget as you like, because we all must make those sacrifices. A certain distrust of the political class has arisen because it's like when everybody else is tightening their belts, the political class is loosening its belts. But I want to assure you that we're all going to tighten our belts.
That's so true.
And there will be no wasteful expenditure. It is said that we create and share. And so let's start cooking the meal now so that we can share when we have created. But right now, the meal is not only insufficient, the cooking pot is even leaking. And so I'll just appeal to you that let's tamper our demands for this year. And once we get out of the woods, we've set good targets to bring inflation down so that the cost of everything will come down. We've set targets to grow the economy, to make things better. And when the cake is baked and it's bigger, we'll share bigger. We are proposing an independent emoluments committee that would set the incomes for everybody from the president right down to the ordinary laborer. We're prepared to walk this journey with you, but I just appeal to you that let's reach agreement on this one so that we use this year as the year of correction. And then after we've corrected, we'll see how the economy continues to go. Once the economy moves in the direction that we are all hoping for, we all, if we have an independent emoluments committee, maybe if you suggest 35%, I'll support you because it will affect my pay too.
That was John Mahama. You heard that. You heard that him saying, Peter, I just wanted to amplify this. There is something that is always brewing. When we are telling the people, that is the everyday people, to tighten in the belt, the political class is loosening their belt. This time we are all tightening our belts. Peter.
So profound.
Very
profound. So let me start here. Herbert Hoover.
Yeah, Hoover.
Again,
yeah.
Everything, there is nothing that we're going through in Liberia that hasn't been solved, faced, and overcome or conquered by somebody.
Hoover.
Guys, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Anything you can think about, someone has faced it, overcome it, and you can borrow from what they did. Let me start here. I'm talking about even going back to how we have tribalism. Go to Singapore and Philippines. They went through that. Still going through it. Okay. Now their economy is better than America's economy. Singapore, their standard of living is higher. Fireside chats. I started to talk about Herbert Hoover. This was in the 1930s in America. This great country went broke to a point where people were killing themselves. Everyone lost their jobs. The stock market crashed. These men were killing themselves. They couldn't provide for their family. Herbert Hoover was the president, and he believed in a conservative way of thinking, where everyone's got to take care of yourself and the government doesn't come in and help. Come in a new president after him when the people are hurting. His name was Roosevelt. Okay. What Roosevelt did was when he came in, he laid out exactly what Muhammad just did. He laid out a plan. He said, guys, this is what's going to happen. Economy is bad. We're all hurting. But we're going to create jobs. This is how we're going to create jobs. This is where you go to get those jobs. This is how much you're going to get paid. This is what help we're going to offer to you. Every night, he would come on the radio. Back then it was on the radio. And he did what is called fireside chats. This is when he reached out to Americans and told them, we know you're hurting, just like a father would. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And here's why you should believe me. We got this going on. We're going to create pensions for our old folks. We're going to give young people money. We're going to build roads. We're going to build parks. This is how a lot of schools in America was built from this. And the government is going to spend money. It's going to be a command economy where the government is going to spend money to stimulate the economy. And we'll get money back to people. This all happened because their stock market crashed. And a lot of people have money in the stock market. Here's the point I'm trying to make. Not to tell you some old story about America that has not much to do with Liberia, but it does have everything to do with Liberia. Leadership matters. When a person has vision, when a person is a true leader, they do come and tell you everything will be okay. This is why you picked me. I got this. Just like when you're on a plane, we've all been on those flights. Turbulence. It is shaking, shaking. I just go to sleep because I don't want to hear it. And the pilot, what does he do? And why does he do it? He comes on the PA and says, we're experiencing turbulence. It's going to be for 20 more minutes, 2 more hours. We're going to go either a little bit higher. No one knows it's going higher. He doesn't have to say those things. He would tell you how high we're going to go or how low we're going to go, how long it's expected to last, what he needs you to do in the meantime. Why does he do that? Because they have a plan, because they understand what's going on. Do you have a leader that comes out and tell you how he's going to create jobs for Liberians? Do we have that? You guys want to say, oh, the old man. Is the old man really acting like the old man is supposed to act like we expect from an old, wise person that would say everything's okay? Everything's going to be okay. We've seen this before. Someone else has seen it. This is our plan for it. Don't worry about it. This is why you guys picked me. Those of us who are in leadership role in our jobs, this is what we do. We're down by this much. This is how we're going to get back. This is what we're doing wrong. This is how we're going to fix it. That's what Muhammad is doing. That's what Roosevelt did. That's what real leaders do. There's a guy right now in the Philippines who's going to The Hague. He did the same thing. I don't agree with him killing a bunch of people, but he came in and said, yo, we have all this drug problem. This is how we're going to fix it. Just leave it up to me. We're going to kill a bunch of drug dealers. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is leaders with visions will tell you exactly how we're going to get out of this crisis. And they will start doing things. They don't sit there and keep repeating what the problem is. We know what the problem is, Pape. We know. We're hungry. We got no money. How are you going to create this money? Are we going to create an export economy? How's that going to happen? How are we going to stop all the money that's being remitted back home to our businesses, to our family members, to go into Lebanese and Chinese businesses so it can get remitted back to Lebanon and China and India? How? When are Liberians going to compete against those people in their own economy? You guys use this as a punchline because you know our people are hurting, our people need some help. So you use that as a punchline. You use that as an applause line. This con man, if he wasn't a con man, he would literally have told you a plan by now. He can't. He goes on a retreat and tell people we need to give people jobs. You need to give jobs? That's what the government do, is give jobs? No, a government creates the environment to create jobs. They give out loans, they give out incentives. They economically empower its people. This is what Trump is doing here. Because it's what leaders and patriotic people and fathers do. You look out for your family, self-preservation, us first, Liberianization. That's what should be happening. This man don't got it. And we want to protect him while babies are dying. Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you see what's going on? And you want someone to coddle him. Oh, leave the old man alone. Leave the old man alone while my children's lives is in peril? Are you serious? I'll run that old man over with a truck quickly. It comes to my children, my babies, my family. You get it with no problem. Quick. Liberians, nobody's coming to rescue you. Nobody's coming to rescue you. This is how a leader talks. We're going to tighten our belts. We're going to go first. All the generals in wars, the reason they're respected, because they rode to the front of the line. This is why military people are respected. They put their lives on the line for this. Yasendi, when people say, well, you just want to be in government. If I'm saying that a bus driver is a drunk and shouldn't be driving my children, does that make I should go be a bus driver? Because I'm saying that guy shouldn't be a bus driver? No. I'm an educator. That's all I want to do. I just want to be with our children and impact as much knowledge into their brains and prepare them to compete with everything I've learned in this people's country. I don't want to be in your damn government. I don't care. But I know a con man when I see one. I know you're taking advantage of our people, and that's not okay. And it shouldn't be okay with nobody. Nobody at all should be okay with it. And you can't sit there and be kind about it and be soft about it. It has never worked. It's never worked any place. It's not going to work in Liberia. Okay, this is what we need to continue to talk. It's not just talk. What more can we do? Yes, Cindy. So that's my first part about it. You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, let me come in, Peter. Let me say to all of you, thank you for being here. Hello. And again, it's our Thursday evening. Make a date with us Thursday evening. We are looking at some other hours during the weekend where we are on, not just so you, especially in Liberia, can have an opportunity to hear us out. So we all can have this conversation. You educate us, we educate you, we educate the nation together where you stand, as a patriot. Now, John Mahama just said, and Peter just elaborated on that. When Hoover were empowered during the Great Depression, he refused to help the people. People lost their home or homes. People were living in cardboard. In fact, the whole of the South were in a dust bowl because there was drought. There was flux of insects that ate because the South was agriculture economy. And they were looking for a place to go to eat. People started leaving the countryside, going to the urban side. But when this gentleman that Peter was just talking about, FDR, was elected, he said, we have to help our people. We got to change the way America is. That's how he came to the rescue. Just as John Mahama just did, we have to make adjustment to how things work. Okay, he decided we would give over 3 million young men between 18 and 25 jobs, and they would get paid weekly. When you put the money in your people's hand, your people will spend the money in a country. Okay, it will help the economy. So the people who go into work and they bring you $30 home a week, I'm just saying, okay.
Yeah, can I jump in real quick? Let me jump in real quick.
Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Because the point you're making is very important. I want to belabor that point. He just didn't put money in people's hands. He said, I'm going to put money in the hands of spenders. He put money in young people's hands, and he retired old people because older people was not going to spend. So he was intentional. The reason I want to belabor that point is because that's a visionary. That's someone who thought deep and hard about it. Okay, that's what I wanted to say.
Yes. So they hired young people between the age of 18 to 25. Okay. And you put the money and they were the American citizens. So the money was not going to leave the country. There was no capital flight. The money was going to be spent in the country. It was going to help strengthen the economy, right? Not only did they do that, he created environment. He hired what they call a private electricity company, okay, to come into the remote part of the South and the North to come and electrify. So let's say they subsidize the electricity. All right. We see there's no job in Liberia. People, you get LEC go out and say people stealing current, beat people to death. They didn't do that. He said, because, and number one, Peter, what's so good about this is, and I was thinking about Jerry Rawlings, right? Jerry Rawlings laid out Ghana because he had an opportunity to talk to the people, to see the suffering. If you listen to Jerry Rawlings, I'm just veering off a little bit because that's right next door to us. Jerry Rawlings said when he was a pilot in the army, and he would be flying over Ghana, he would see his people walking miles and miles and miles and going to get water, fresh water. no electricity. If you fly over Ghana in the middle of the night, no electricity. So there was some level of empathy. He understood what his people were enduring. And he said he went home, got on a truck, and went to some of those villages. Then he went to see the water that his people were drinking. That was his motivation of his revolution. Okay. After he overthrew the first government, he said, I don't want to be the president. I'm going to put somebody there that will change our country. When that person was not working, he got there, he changed it himself. And today we hear Ghanaians saying, we are the best, we are the best. But let me come back here and tell you why. FDR could relate to suffering because he has suffered polio. Number one, he was coming to the South for help. And because he found out that the people in the interior, what we call the the rural area, okay, where back when we call interior or the hinterland, okay, the way they were living in darkness, children going to school, no night school, people were using lantern and kerosene. Yes, in America, they're using lantern and kerosene in the 30s, 1930. Remember now, Liberia got her independent in 1847. 1930 in America, people were using outhouses where you call borehole, okay, where you go outside to use the bathroom, even up to the 90s, here in some part of the South. But the government decided they will create jobs. But then they decide also they will create an environment where companies who are electricity company give them money or subsidize them so the people can get cheaper electricity. When the people have cheaper electricity, the children are able to go to school at every hours. Colleges are able to be run, okay? The farmers are able to work all throughout the night and people can function. There will be movement of goods and services. The economy will boom. Everybody will be impacted. That's what happened. Peter, I will stop here and we'll come back. So he came up with a plan. He came up with a plan day one, just as John Mahama came up with the plan day one. And his inaugural, what he said was a plan that he laid out. The first week, that Monday after his inauguration, he came out, he said, we're going to reduce our ministry to 7. Okay? We're going to increase productivity. We will reduce some salary and keep people accountable. But before coming to those terms, he have already done his audit. He done resource audit, okay? Not just material resource, but also professional, acumen to know that where he could amplify, where he needed help. Peter?
So let me take off where you left off. He did those things because he was being intentional. I'm going to touch a couple of points about something that Cummings always say. He talks about having people define who you are. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to touch on that, but let me start here. He was doing that, having an audit and doing all these things. Boycott, he was going to audit Ellen, right? The reason he didn't do that is because he has no plan. No, he doesn't. That's not who he is. He's a con man. You only do an audit if you're honest. He's a con man. His intention was never to fix Liberia. His intention was rhetoric. What's rhetoric? He knows how to use words. He uses words like strangers to a Liberian because a Liberian accent has changed a little bit because he lived outside the country. The same thing he wants for his own children. This man has been eating and sucking the tits of Liberia since 1972. All of his kids, the people associated with him, all they brag about is my grandpa, that Joseph Boycott. That man has added nothing to that country. My father, this is not about me. My father was an insurance man. My father got to travel the world. My father, I'm about to put that picture up, had a Rolex watch in Liberia, never lived in America. Okay, had an American Express card where I didn't even know what American Express was.
We had JC Penney catalog.
Never been in your government. So what I'm saying is, if he wanted to be rich, if you wanted to make money, you do it in the private sector.
In the private sector, you don't
What's
go
your
into
private
government for
sector?
service. Yes.
Yeah, what's your private sector resume? There is none.
None. None.
You've sucked the lifeblood from that country since the 1970s, sir. You were not. He's not being intentional. He's not trying to help the country.
He has no intention.
When he was pressed on, why haven't you spoken when you're not running for president? He goes, because when I speak, people listen. So I only want to speak so people can listen. With all the problems going on in Liberia, you don't think you should say something if you cared? If you cared, you wouldn't have said anything. There's nothing to be said. You have no compassion. You have no empathy. And sir, you have no skills. You have nothing. You literally come to the table empty-handed, and you use manipulation and you cast out people and stood in their way and destroy them that would have helped our country. You were a broke man. You say you were living off of loans. Well, loans need collateral. What were you signing as a collateral? You weren't. You were getting paid by Stanton because you were in government and you had this prominent position. People knew you. You've never added to our country. And sir, this is not about you. It's about our children. It's about my family blood. You're not better than them. You're not better than them. I'll go to war with you. Like literally, it'll be a family war. Your family against mine. You're not better than my children. You're not better than nobody's family. You've been manipulating and taking advantage of people. And that's not okay. It's not okay in any way, shape, or form. Nothing, Yasendi, is going to change in that country unless we have system put in place.
There we go. And that was the next thing I wanted to talk about.
Okay, well, I'll let you get to that. Nothing's going to change, Yasendi. We have to speak honestly about what's going on. And we have to be able to speak truth to power and not be afraid that someone's going to cuss you out or call you gay or do whatever. I don't care. There's nothing you can say to me. Nothing. So that will move me. So what I'm saying is there are things that needs to be done. Nobody's coming to do it for us, Yasendi. So when you listen to Muhammad talk, that's a man who cares. That's a man who wants to make a change. And this is why we should be picking leaders anyway. Someone who's your job as a leader of a country is to make lives better. Yasendi, I'm an educator by trade. This is what I dedicated my life for. To helping children. This is where my pride and joy come from. Of course, I'm going to have this sick feeling in my stomach when I see them hurting, no matter where they live. I live for other people's children.
Yep.
Get to know who you're talking to. I am extremely loved. When you hear me talking like I'm talking, it's because I know how loved I am. I have more love than I deserve. If something, God forbid, was to happen to me today, my funeral will have to, I'm telling the world, my funeral will be held at a stadium because there'll be so many people from around the country coming. I promise you that. This is not about me. I've dedicated my life to people's children. And you think I'm going to watch my own family suffer and not do something about it and watch someone take advantage of them? No. We all need to do that. We all need to fight. And we all need to say something. This man's not better than you. These people are not better than you. There's no reason why Young is getting paid the money she's getting paid. There's no reason why people are taking money that doesn't belong to them that's supposed to go to building schools and hospitals and paying civil servants so they too can take care of their family. They too can buy from our market women. There's no reason why we're making a outhouse. That's the market. There's no reason why. We have over 1.5 billion of our natural resources that belongs to all of us getting extracted on an industrial scale out of our country yearly. And while people suffering, when it's only 5 million of us, we should all be rich. It should be like Dubai, but better.
We're rich, very rich. It's a very rich country.
And we have
very rich country.
We have a handful of people who thinks they're aristocrats and they're better. How? because you're obeying government. I'm gonna use the analogy again, Yasendi. If someone's a plumber and I say this is a bad plumber because he messed up my sewer system, does that mean I should go be a plumber? No, I'm an educator. I can point out the plumber is bad.
That's not your place. You're an educator.
That's not my place.
Yes.
It would never be my place.
Right.
That's not my motivation. Is to just because you want to be a plumber, that's why you're saying it. No, I'm saying it because he's a bad person. He took advantage of an old woman. He took advantage of a family who couldn't call the police because they're illegal, and it shouldn't happen. And I'm a fighter. I live for people. I live for children. I'm going to fight you. And I'm going to fight you with everything I got. We all need to be that. I don't know why we're comfortable with not being that. We're letting these people take advantage of people. When did you hear this man talk about the state of the country and how we need to make sure Liberians come first? What's the game plan for that? What's the game plan for schools? What's going to happen to us in 15 years, people? When Liberians don't have all this money and all these people are retiring, coming my age, they can't remit all that money back to Liberia. What's going to happen to the people who are in Liberia now? What if you were stuck there? How would you feel? How would you feel? Would you want someone speaking for you who has the ability to do that without them murdering them? This is what I'm talking about, Yasendi. And I know you want to talk about systems, so I'll let you go there because a couple other things I want to say.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. I thank you so much for your input. Some of you that are writing here, I think we're gonna give you, if you're available, time tonight to call in to see how we can. Sis Catherine wrote on it because we got two systems going on here concurrently on my page and on my personal Facebook page. Sis Catherine asks, how do we impact the voter? This year we will be going back to Liberia. The goal is to go not like move around that we did earlier, focus on a certain demographic, okay, in the next couple of years, educate them. And I think this is where Peter is coming to. We're about to talk about that, about putting you first, okay, talking about you, because people will define you. If you listen to somebody coming to tell you, okay, let's say, for instance, let me just give you a common example. This past weekend, a dump truck was sitting on top of a car with 6 living Liberians inside of it. Now one first responder show up. Now one ambulance show up. Now one tow truck showed up. People gather. Maybe at least 1,000 people show up to recall and watch a few people move down there to help to move those people. I think the last person were there passed, or maybe they're still struggling in the hospital. Okay. We don't have a trauma unit in Liberia for a nation that's almost 200 years old. Okay. Now, how can we help? Says Catherine, that's why we all need to come together and brainstorm. The other day, my brother came here and said, Peter is so angry. They called me in the back and said, Peter got good point, but Peter's voice is so strong, he's angry. You see, I'm angry too. I'm very angry. My voice, maybe the strength of my voice is not as strong as Peter because he's a man. He has a deeper voice than I do. I am angry. Here's why I'm angry. As a child, a young girl who has so much to live for, who was planning my life, I wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor first. And all of that were geared towards saving lives. Okay. One day somebody show up and say, you know what? Rebels are coming. Your parents go get food and put it in. And our parents sat us down and said, they're coming for Doe. They're not coming for anybody else. They killed Doe, 1990, September. 14 years later. And every time those killers, those liars, those thieves, those rapists, okay, left and went and sat on the table, they will go to Yamoussoukro. They will go to Ghana. They will sleep in the same hotel room. They will sit at the same table. They will conversate. They will go to the same conference and negotiate. And when they leave from there, they go to a telephone booth. They call to telecom and tell their friend then, now go open fire this way. And every time they left, they multiply. They came from having 2 groups to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, because the funnel, the power that they carry, at least they thought, by taking Liberians' lives for lies, for money. That's what they did. All right. So for somebody to say to change the way I sound, when I was barely 20 years old, I'm almost 60. I got children, I got grandchildren, and I feel lost. If you are not angry, something have to be wrong with you. If you are not angry the way your country is going, because of your proximity, because you think you are enjoying, but ain't nobody got respect for us. You can wear your Ralph Lauren portfolio and walk in at the hotel, I mean at the airport in France. All of us will go sit in the same place. You can show up in Casablanca. You're going to stay to the airport until the next day. They're not going to let you leave because you got Liberian passport. Okay? It says Priscilla. So no, what we are speaking to, if you are not angry that your sisters go to JFK for $175 US, they can get operation. But the US government is giving them $150+ million annually, $10 million for women health or more, but they divide among themselves. Okay, but if you don't come up with that 175, your sister, your wife will lay down there and die. Your baby will die. 2 people will die the same night. Then finally they will tell you, they will threaten you. You got to bring up $200 or we'll bring your body or we'll confiscate your body. Does that sound human to you? Does that? So you as a person, and let me start with Peter say, you can pray 24/7. That's your problem. You can pray from Monday to Sunday. That's your problem. Until you take action, nothing in Liberia will change. And the power is in your hand. Okay? When you ask me why am I angry, yesterday morning, was it yesterday? Monday morning, I woke up in the morning. I sent out $500 from my account. Hopefully my husband not listening. Before I could leave my bed. This morning, last night, they didn't let me sleep. The other people, because when they call with all the story, and you think I'm not impacted? That's $500 for my children. That's one day. I worked my butt out. I should be retired because I worked all my life since I was 17 years old. And you think that does not impact me? I'm taking what I should be investing for my children, for my grandchildren, so they can have a better start. Because I want somebody to stay alive. I'm getting in the mail to say, here your child grade report, and I'm humble that I'm in the position. Are you not angry to watch little girls, mothers begging for their children to go to school? When you sit on billion-dollar minerals, billions of dollar minerals, natural resources from your annual oath that were banjo. You know what? And they are getting their cuts in the back. They all got a cut in. This few days I saw River Livingstone in Liberia, who gets millions of dollars from our people every year to lobby for them in Washington. Why we lobby? Why we need people to come when we have everything that is supposed to be coming to us? So until you, the Liberian people, like we just saying, leadership matters. Okay? Leadership matters. Peter, I'm going to stop here.
So yeah, let me take off where you landed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stay angry, people. And listen, do what you want. I'm going to be mean. the good thing is I'm a functional angry person. I can go to work. I don't take out anger on my kids. I don't take out my job. I can literally be angry at you in the same breath, turn to the next person and give them a hug and a kiss. I'm just a well-adjusted adult, I guess. I'm angry because I can't be happy in Liberia. Let me explain what that means. What I mean by that. So I have a friend of mine who's a doctor, and him and I are talking, and he's telling me how he could go to Liberia and be happy. And I said, I can't. And
Yeah, I can. I
it's
can.
an innate thing for me. I
Me
can't.
too.
I can't for the same reason why no matter how cute a child is, she's not going to look sexy to me. There's a wall. Those of us who are, it doesn't, that's why those people who do that, there's a mental illness. There is something that is a block. I could be a billionaire in Liberia. I can't be happy.
No,
Because
it's not
when I
possible.
it's impossible. I see suffering around me. My kids' friends will be suffering. They will not have Wi-Fi. They will not have the same thing. I want them to be able to go there and play games with them and have leagues and go to plays. That's what makes me happy. What makes me happy is seeing my people happy. That's what makes me happy. So a person like me will never be happy. Well, that makes me angry because the reason they're not angry is because there are a few selfish oligarchs, selfish primitive people who is taking what belongs to everybody for themselves and their family. So I'm not going to be happy with that. Investments. Let's talk about investment. Guys, Liberia will never have any real investors. They'll have exploiters. That makes me angry. What do I mean by that? Joseph Boycott take plane trips. I don't know what billionaire, because those are people who bring companies, right? Will look at Joseph Boycott and says, that's the country I want to invest in. The man doesn't even look other men in the eye. I'm going to do a post tomorrow. I'm going to put out 10 pictures. Him shaking hands with a fish grip, grabbing the tip of people's fingers. Men don't do that, first of all. My grandfather would not do that. My grandfather would shake your hand and look you in the eye. This man don't look nobody in the eye. I will show you picture after picture after picture. It makes me angry. No investors are coming to our country. Not only are they not going to look at this man and see any honesty, sincerity, confidence, or intelligence in him, who's going to bring their company that they can't watch? And if you're going to invest in Liberia with a company, you're going to have to be there for a while. That means unless you're going to live away from your wife and children, well, no one wants to do that. So that's a bad investment. Okay, so your wife and children are going to come with you. How? Where? There's no trauma unit. Just in case there's an emergency. What happens then? You have to fly out the country? There are no good schools. So I can't bring my family as an investor to a country. Why would I invest in that country again? That you tell me I have to make sacrifice away from my family for that? Well, that's not what investors don't do that. They don't do that. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So we're not having investors because of the people we have. They're not creating the environment to have investors. Okay. Next thing. Yes, Sandy, I really want to touch this. Voters' perception. I think you were talking to a person, Priscilla, or someone you were talking to, and defining. There's nothing I'm angry about. Guys, when you go to Liberia with an accent from Europe or from America, our people literally looked at you like you've had a good life. Now you want to come here and rule us?
Yep, that's what we're telling. Yep.
So what I'm saying is, when you say
Peter, just let me interject. I'm in a voting what do you call it, monitoring, right? They don't know that I understand the dollar they're speaking. And a few of them are going, they come from eating their chicken, enjoying themselves, and they come in and think they will take our job and the king will come rule us. Yes, they do say that. I just wanted to bring that to bear. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sandy, that is powerful. I'm going to say that again. Joseph Boycott knew what he was saying when he says, we're not going to let a stranger come here and rule our country.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing into that sentiment.
Yep.
He knows he doesn't have the skill set to do it. The plane got to be flown from here to another country. He knows he can't fly, but he doesn't want the person who's qualified to fly.
Yep.
So you rely on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that man's crashed 3 planes. He don't even know you. He hit you guys, and they're going to take your body parts if you let him fly the plane, knowing that you can fly the plane yourself, guys. So when you say I'm going to go home and educate our people, that is extremely difficult to do, Yasendi, with your accent, because they're literally looking at you like, after I got all the mosquito biting, you think we're going to come in? They look at leadership as ruling. So that's where we need to start. What's the difference between ruling and leading?
Yep. Let's talk about that, Peter. Ruling and leading.
Yes, when they have had all these people who are liars and manipulators, they see you as them. And all those people have to do using the proximity to those people and say, look at that one there, kind of eating chicken. You see the interaction with them on the internet, on Facebook, right? So they have defined who we are just because we've seen different. So now the people who are supposed to help, like the same type of people who helped the Russians when the Russians went west to learn about what was going on with industrialization in England, in America, the same people who help the people of Singapore, the same people who helped the Chinese get started. Our people that have those skill sets that should be rescuing us, the people who can swim, we're not being allowed to play lifeguards.
Right.
Because he's going to drown your kids. He don't care about you. I'm going to drown your kids. Yes, we've been defined. So my question would be, we need to redefine ourselves, because this is how people see us. If more of us don't speak up, it's not going to happen. They're literally going to think that there is some ulterior motive to us wanting to come home. I don't want to be in your government, guys. The government doesn't pay good. That's a horrible job for me. That's a horrible job for most people. And they have defined it that because this is all they know, they have defined it that, these people who have enjoyed now want to come and rule. Ruling is what monarchies do. That's what dictators do. Leading is what we do in democracy.
Yeah.
You lead a family. You lead a community. You don't rule them. Ruling is when you beat them because they're selling on the market in the market on a Sunday, because that's your religious belief.
Yep.
Ruling is when you tell them you must get insurance, even though you know they don't have the money just yet, and you don't give them any kind of subsidies, any kind of help. Or you can't ride your bikes over here, and you take thousands of their bikes, even though there are no other jobs for them. That's ruling. So until we are abrasive because if you aren't willing to be abrasive, you can't confront the ruling class. You can't, because they will eat you up. You got to have a thick skin. You have to be willing to fight. You must be willing to fight.
You must, yes. Peter tell them you have to have a thick skin.
You must be willing to, because if you don't, nothing is going to change. The question is, is it worth it for you? For me, it is. Even if my immediate family is not there. I can't watch people take advantage of other people's children. Why are you okay with that? Okay, so we've been defined. So as soon as you go home and try to do voters education. Oh, look at One for America just trying to be in government. What government?
Yeah.
Government, what are you talking about?
Y'all won't be general minister, y'all won't be, and even if y'all wanted to be, I'm a Liberian and I'm more qualified than all of the people you got in power. So what?
100%. But again, now they make you have to be on the defensive, and they
Right.
have created the environment where you have to give caveats to things before you say it, and say, I love George Weah. I don't have to say I love George Weah. I don't like anyone like that. I hate Joseph Boycott. I would say it to his face, put me on the stage with him. Let's talk education. And I don't even want to be president. Let's compete. Let's talk knowledge. Compete with the people who want to be president. You don't. You skirt that. You hide from that. You manipulate your way. That's why I don't respect you. I'm never going to respect you. I don't respect anyone like you. I don't want to be anything you are. I'm a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher till the day I die. I'm a coach. That's what I want to do with children. But I'm not going to watch you take advantage of people. That's not going to happen. Okay? Yeah. The money they're getting paid, we're only looking at how much they're getting paid. What's even worse is the kickbacks they're getting from
yes.
$1.5 billion.
Yes.
How much are those people giving them to extract our resources? Guys, they don't own the country. Those resources don't belong to them. They just have a job. Just like if you work at a bank, the money in the bank is not yours.
It's
you
not
just have
yours.
a job.
Tell it again.
You just have a job. And we are watching you take advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not okay. When you know, if there's a leader, you know how the leader speaks. I tell these people who are in government, put me on the stage and make an argument about why you're there, and let me make an argument. And I don't even want to be in government.
Why you don't belong there.
Let me see you, Joseph Boycott. Let people, with my American accent and everything, let me see who the people are going to agree with.
Peter,
I just don't want to be in government. Okay,
Peter?
That's not my thing. Government is not government for what? They don't pay enough. It's not good enough job security. Put me on the stage with any of your people, with your Henry Costas of the world, with your Mo Ali's. Let's talk about government and nation building. Let's see who the people will gravitate towards. Who the people say that true to. I just don't want to be in government, just like I don't want to be a plumber. Just like I don't want to be a mechanic. Doesn't mean I'm not going to tell my family this mechanic is not good. So, yeah, no hospitals, no schools, no investors are coming. And the reason we don't have those things is because the people misuse the money. And they take the money and give it to their family members. And these people are arrogant with no skills, with zero being added to the lives of our people. And you ask me why I'm angry? My question, my rebuttal to you is, why aren't you angry?
Why aren't you angry that your people are dying every day? Mm-hmm. Young people are getting drunk to the point that they're burning their liver. They're asking to go to India for operation. Most of them don't survive it. Yes. Why aren't you angry? Why are you angry? But you're beating your child for stealing food because they're hungry. Why aren't you angry? You there, Peter?
Yeah. So that was my question to all of us. And the comfort, the fact that you have to come and say, I love this man. To me, that's offensive. To me, that's offensive. I don't love George Weah. There's nothing but George Weah to love. I like him more than I like Joseph Boycott because at least he brought joy to my life at some point when he was a soccer person, when he was
right
where he was. I shouldn't have to say that to say what he did for the country was not good. I despise Joseph Boycott. I think he's a vile human being.
Yeah.
I think he would have sold slaves. I said it before.
Yeah, he would have.
I don't think he cares about people, and he shouldn't have the role that he has. I think that he's selfish. I think he lacks empathy. I think he would be a serial killer and a serial rapist if he could get away with it. He's done that before. He was in the Lofa Defense Force. I don't think he doesn't have the nurturing ability that people try to bequeath on him because he's old. I care about my people more. I care about his feelings and his people's feelings. And I don't care if they cuss me out. Cuss me out how? How are you going to cuss me out? You must not know, like, you You can't cuss me out. I'm just going to cuss you back. And there's nothing you say that can affect me at all, ever. But I'm going to fight for people. I have dedicated my life to other people's children. You need to understand that. Do you understand how much of a protector you have to be for your mindset to be, I'm going to, like, what makes me happy is making sure people's children are happy. You go on my personal page, you'll see I post all the time the universities they're going to, the professional jobs they've got. This is what makes me happy. I want the same thing for our children right now, not later on, not after we're dead. And the thing that's preventing it is these type of people, and not enough of us speaking up about it. And we're over here being beggars in other people's country when it shouldn't be like that. Would you have sat by and let slavery go on? Because we have modern day slavery going on in Liberia. Imagine he's telling our people, we're going to raise your salary. We're going to all this stuff. We're going to. Okay, I'm going to flap my arm and fly too. We're going to raise your salary to $175 a month. $175 a month. And there's
but you got millions. You got a budget of millions.
And there's not outrage about that. $175 a month. And there's not outrage.
Yeah.
And their generator got to go 24/7. Meanwhile, we don't have food for our people.
About $4,000 a month just for their generators.
The generators alone can feed a village for a month.
Yeah.
And no one, you're not angry about that. And you go to Liberia, you watch 10-year-old, 12-year-olds selling, put stuff on their head, and that doesn't bother you.
Right.
And like I told my friend, I'm like, I can't be happy in Liberia. Yasendi, you talk about the money you're sending back home.
Yep.
You sending money back so it can get re-remitted out the country. Did I understand that? Yasendi, you are an educator. People have to understand that. It's like someone who's a dog lover. They're not going to want to see anyone talk about eating a dog. That joke would never be funny to them.
It can never be funny. No.
That's never going to sit well with them if you kick a dog, because the dog, even if the dog is doing something, they'll make excuse to the dog. Well, maybe the dog, the owner, that's how we are with children. It's about our children. And what parent is not willing to die for the kids and fight for the kids? You got the wrong one.
I will.
Go ahead.
No. You're fine, Peter. So I wanted to post a phone number if you're out there and you would like to call. And then while we have this conversation, and we are serious about what we're saying to you. Okay. We have put our lives all out here, educating, empowering, making sure we see the future in a child who does not sometimes see their own future, projecting what's possible. You know, today, Peter, my kids had their second semester intern, and majority of them did really well. I had some perfect scores. And one of the kids, I heard the kid whisper to the other kid, "Why is she so calm today?" So I went in front of the class. I said, "You know why I'm calm today? Because you deliver. Because I care too much. When I come here in this class, yes, I'm your teacher, but my first instinct, I'm here to nurture, protect, and make a good leader out of you. We cross paths. Down the line, you will always remember there was this woman who I had in 8th grade, just before you go to high school. And she did not play that. And I said, because I care. I care too much to the point that when you guys are not doing right, I'm disappointed. It agitates me. And someone said, "Miss Martin, we're so sorry." And I said, "I understand you're kids, you're a teenager, you're barely coming into your teens, right? But you have to learn to prioritize. You have to know where you want, because you are the next group, the next leaders, future leader of our nation. Where you take this country, how you decide to carry yourself will be the competition that this country will have to face. So I have a responsibility to you, and you have a responsibility to yourself and your country to do that. And the other little boy, and I told him, I said, and I'm going to call his name, and I said, you're smart, you're very brilliant, but you avoid working, so you play. You become a distraction. You become the clown. I said, you don't even do the work. You still pass. Imagine if you were putting the time. That's what we're saying to you, Liberian people. You have to rise up and own your own future. It is your responsibility. And for the parents, it is your responsibility to protect your children. You cannot allow the people still loot the nation. Then you beat your child because they stole rice, because they're hungry. And I always say this, Peter, my children will never steal from the refrigerator, because what's in the refrigerator belongs to them. Me as a parent, I have a responsibility to make sure my children are fed, to make sure they have clothes on their back, to make sure they have shoes on their feet. It did not say name brand, but if I can afford, I will. Okay, make sure that they're healthy, that they eat well. If my child have to go and steal food, something, unless they have some kind of disorder, it reflects on me. I don't like refrigerator. That's why I get up every morning and go to work. That's why my husband get up every morning. He have never been out of job for almost 30 years, not one day, okay, to make sure his family has. So guess what? That's a man. If I get up tomorrow and say I'm not going to work, I'm not. I will still be fine. So to the Liberian mothers and fathers, you cannot beat a child. You cannot put your children in the street to go sell while your government loot the nation, while they and the children. Imagine, and Peter, I'm going to come there. Papa Buaka yesterday was living on loan. Yesterday, he was begging before he can go to the hospital. But today, he won a private jet. There's no empathy. He being up, he being down, to the point that the even friends that he lied on have to come and pay his hospital bill. And he does not understand, or does not want to understand, that particular predicament, over 66% of Liberian men are in that predicament. Mothers are in that predicament. I would have thought that he will come to help to change. And this is when I say and agree with Peter. There's a philosopher that said, the revolution is not like an apple that when it's ripe, it's going to drop. You got to go for it. You got to fight for it. And whatever happens in the interim, so be it. But it's worth the fight. And some of us will continue to fight. And I am angry as hell. Peter?
You cannot beat your children because you lack. A couple of days ago, I was going back and forth with one of Boyka's dwarf kids or whatever he had, some tree dweller. And he posted something that really, really upset me. And if we were in school together, if we're in any men setting together, he would have not said those things, because the consequences would have taught him, you don't get to do that. The arrogance about what he posted bothered me. Nobody's saying you shouldn't ask people to wear a helmet. That is dumb. If you think that someone riding a bike shouldn't wear a helmet. That's not what I'm saying. No one's saying that you should have people. When I go to the library, I don't even ride on bikes. That's how afraid of I'm not. I've seen too many accidents with it. Okay. No one's saying that some guy should put his kids, 3 or 4 kids, on a bike. What I'm saying is, you in a position of authority to change lives. That's what power is, right? You have a power to change their lives. You have done nothing. You have not put together anything or thought of helping these people not be in a desperate state, you don't get to punch down, brother. You don't get to punch down. If you punch down, you're a bully. You will get punched in the face quickly in our setting. The people that I grew up with, you will get hurt. You're a bully. Should a guy put 4 kids on a bike? No, he shouldn't. But until, in the interim, until you tell us how we're going to create jobs, so this guy's not desperate where he can get a car for his kids or afford to put them in a taxi, don't say anything to them. Until you can tell us how they're going to be able to pay for that insurance and pay for their bikes and get food and create jobs and now they have options. Don't be telling them these are the rules, you must follow it. You're not even following the rules. You illegally remove a speaker. You lied about everything. You have a private jet. You're taking a lion's share of the money. I'm saying what you're doing is hypocrisy. It's bullying. That's my point. I'm not condoning a guy putting his family at peril is okay. For you to not be intelligent enough to pick up on that and you think you can go back and forth with me, there's going to be no talking. If you're a man, I'm a man. Let's handle like men. No going back and forth. Like I'm not, that's not what, the only reason I talk to you because I can't reach you right now. You can't beat down on people. You're a bully. It's not okay to be a bully. And that's all these people are. He's turning police into bullies. Go and beat up on people. Oh, he don't want to give me a bite, drag him. The police themselves don't have food. We don't have the right person in place. You have not come up with a plan to help the country. You don't beat your children. It bothers my soul when I see them beating thieves. These thieves are bad people. Really, really bad people. I've heard horrible stories. They use cutlass on people. They take people's phone. They hurt them. I understand that. And there's nothing wrong with going after those people. But I'm saying if you're going to go after thieves, go after all thieves, including the government officials who are thieves. Have the same energy. Have the same energy. That's what we say. Have that same energy when you see me. All that talking you do on Facebook, make sure you have that same energy when you see me. This is how lives are put at a danger. We don't just cuss another man talk. If you're going to talk to another man like that, you believe you can take the other man's life. Have that same energy. You're going to do that and put this guy who stole the phone in an ant pit so he can get bitten by red ants? And you're going to beat some guy's face is swollen? But the guy who's taking millions of your dollars, of your money, and extracting all your resources, the guy who stole your children's future and your future, you sit there and applaud him because you're a coward. You're a coward. It is disgraceful. Have the same energy for them. That's all I'm saying. No one's saying the country should be as it is. I'm saying the reason is like that. Do something about that. Everything I'm saying to you, I said to anyone, I will say to their faces. And there's no rebuttal, no intelligible rebuttal that you can give to that. The country, these people need to be confronted, Yasendi. They need to be confronted. And you must understand when you confront them, their people are going to come at you as if they have a monopoly on anger. As if they have a monopoly on being dismissive and rude. You don't. What are you talking about? You're a do-off. You're a do-off. I'm not worried about you. You put down Liberians. The reason I fight these people so hard, Yasendi, is because I believe that they're not just enablers of these people who are hurting and taking people's lives. They're not just enablers. They're worse than them because they're providing a shield for them to continue to do it. What type of man am I to sit there and see wrong and say nothing? Because you're scared it might cuss you. You might cuss. How are you going to cuss me? I'm going to cuss your mom. My mom's not on Facebook. She's never going to see it. You must as well go cuss the dirt. She's never going to see it. And saying it to me doesn't affect me. Can't cuss my father. He's dead. He's not hearing anything. He was really proud of me. My picture was up in his office. He was my college graduation picture. Guys, I'm not afraid of anything you can throw at me. We do it on social media, so I do it really for other people to see, not to be afraid of you. But in person, you're not going to do any of that unless you're willing to go where I know you're probably not willing to go. Guys, we gotta stick up for our country. We have to talk with the plans. We have to hold that man's feet to the fire. He came and said, "Oh, my people, bag of rice went up, and we're going to keep it at $17." Okay, tell me one thing you have done policy-wise that have reduced the prices of things. Don't forget now, we are a capitalist country. Okay, in a demand economy. That's what we are, right? So the prices have got to be set by the demand. We're a capitalist nation. You can't talk to me after you create monopolies for foreigners.
Liberia is a monopoly and it's command. That's it. No,
You
it's
cannot
not unique.
tell me
Yeah.
anything about anything when you created a monopoly for people who are not Liberians.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have self-respect when you do that.
No.
You let the Lebanese people, they're the only ones that bring this in. They're the only one can bring in rice. Or the keke can only be bought from the Indians.
Yep.
You have no self-respect.
Yep. And you expect them to
cater
respect
to those
you.
people. You want them to like you. You don't have a high enough self-esteem to lead our country. You're not enough nationalist. You don't get to talk to us. You don't get to talk to warriors. You don't get to talk to real men. You don't get to show your face and say nothing to me. Nothing. Or people like me. There are a bunch of us out there. They just don't want to engage you. They're too busy building careers. I did the same thing for a long time. But it's enough is enough. After my father died, the gloves came off. And it's going to stay off until you people do something about it. And this is only going to escalate. Everyone needs to understand you guys need to fight. We need to fight for what we care about. Joseph Boycott needs to tell us a plan to create capital in the country. How are we going to infuse capital in our country? How are we going to fix schools, guys? What is his economic worldview, Yasendi? All he talks about is spending money. How are you going to create money? How? When are you going to make one sacrifice for the country? Tell me the sacrifice. Youngbleed, tell us the sacrifice you're willing to make. Oh, I'm not going to take 10 million. I'm only going to take 900 billion. What are we talking about here? You're not better than our people. We can't sit there and let this thing go on. They don't have any more ownership of our country than we do. We are the government. We're the ones who sent them 800 million. What are we sitting down here doing? I'm trying to galvanize people. You guys, call in. We need to hear this. Anyway, Yasendi.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. I want us to go back briefly to talk about the role of the government, why the government leading the charge is important. I know you brushed up on it earlier, but we know the only way to change Liberia, especially based on its structure, be a unitary state, it will start from the presidency. That's why any smart person who actually believe in change will not want to go into the Congress, will not want to get an appointed position, will want the presidency. It does. The goal is to change Liberia. The president is the most powerful person in the Liberian government or in the nation as a whole. Number one, we do not elect our municipals. The municipals are assigned by the president. That's an appointed position. Now, in other countries, the local government, even in Nigeria, they're elected by the people. It used to be where we would elect our zones, our elders, and our superintendent until, and the city mayor. No, our city mayors in the zones until Ellington and Ellen said there was no money, although they were paying people 30 and 40, $50,000 a month, but there was no money to add into the election ballot. So it was going to be a temporary. Brown bags passed around, the legislature compromised. The guardrail was there. So if the president of a small country, US got 300 million, 330 million people, the president have less than 5,000 people to appoint. Liberia of 5 million people, the president can have over 5,000 people to appoint. All the powerful position they answerable to the president, including the police chief. The police director or the sheriff in the world over, they elected. The water management system, they elected. The municipals are elected. They're now. In the case of Liberia, the president is actually a crown king. So any change that will come will start from the presidency. So that leadership matters because the president is in charge of all of our natural resources. He's in charge of our bank book. So it's literally the president has the key to all of our rice kitchen, all of our water tower. For us to eat, there's the president. For us to get water to drink, is the president. To even take bath, is the president. Peter, that's the most simplest way I can put it. Why do you think it is the Liberian government that can lead a charge to the change that Liberia so desire and so deserve?
So that's a great question. So the question goes back to, why is there government in the first place?
Thank
the
you.
reason why, first of all, to have a country function and serve the people, you need systems. System is the blueprint and the structure. Just like building a house, you need a foundation. It's like a human body. You need bones to have dexterity. You need that. You need a skeleton to put the flesh on and put the organs in. The system is that, the bones. Unless we have a system, a purposely designed system, which we should because we have a beautiful constitution. We need someone who understands the importance of systems and the functionality of systems and why it's important to adhere to rules and not just look at it as something we can pick and choose whenever we want to follow. Systems must be in place. Governments is important. Governments are important because what they do is they're the only ones that have the type of capital to build roads and build schools and build hospitals. No individual does that or can do that.
And no individual have that kind of, even Elon Musk, yes. But
there's no country that's ever been built by citizens. And this bothers me when people talk like, oh, America was not built by citizens. America was built by citizens after the government gave them incentives. How much American history do you know? There is no nation. Let's talk about how America started. America started with colonies. The colonies were paid for by the king.
The king, that is correct. Go ahead, Peter.
It was run by companies. It was run by companies. After that, once this became a country and they broke away from England, they created this thing called a federal government. It was not always a federal government. It was what was called Confederacy before. But guess what? They were poor. They were as poor as a sub-Saharan African country. They couldn't pay their police. There were robberies all the time. People were breaking their fellow citizens out of jail. They were shutting down courthouses. Why? Because they didn't have the money. They couldn't raise an army. They couldn't even fight the Native Americans. They had to unite and build a system where more people pulled their money in. So America was not run by people, private citizens. That's a myth. That's because you don't know what you're talking about. After that, when America started, because America was founded on the Enlightenment principles, After that, when America started to build businesses, how was the businesses made? Guess what? Government gives them grant, give them land to build railroads, and
Yeah,
they
and gave them
tax
money to
them.
build the railroads when they brought the ideas. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and all these companies, Graham Bell, when he came up with a new phone, great. We're not going to tax you. We're going to give you workers. Oh, what else you need? You need people to have some form of education. All right, we're going to create public schools, and we will pay for that. And if you move out west, we want you guys to move west with this thing called Manifest Destiny. Okay, we're going to give you land. We'll give you 500 acres of land. Just move there and live there for 5 years. Guys, nobody built
Yeah.
no country. Same thing with England. It was called mercantilism.
Mercantilism. Yes.
They
That's
give them money. They literally give them loans to start those businesses. And when they fail to give them, forgive the loans and give them more loans. The government has to do that. The government builds systems.
And
Now,
Peter, you're going way back. We just saw that during the 2008 housing bust year, where a lot of company literally went bankrupt, almost went bankrupt. The cars company, the factories, to keep America working, the government has to come in and rescue those people to make sure, because when those people are functional, they're able to pay taxes and they're able to replace those funding, and that's the way it works.
well, let's go
Right.
back to the Philippines in the 1960s and 70s and
Yep.
Singapore. What did
Yep.
the government do to get those people ready? They literally built them homes.
They
Even
build them
now
homes.
in Singapore,
Yes.
these people don't own their own homes. Even in China, they don't own their homes. The government owns their homes. They build these high-rise buildings. They make sure they have steady electricity, and they put these people in these homes. So now they don't have to worry about buying houses. So that's a savings they get. They subsidize their electricity, greatly subsidize their electricity. Same thing with Sweden. Sweden is one of the countries that is flourishing because they take care of their people. The government did that. The government took care of the transport by having this great public transportation system. Guys, only the government have done that. Only the government can take a country from being impoverished to flourishing. There is no one country you can think about that the government didn't intentionally do it, subsidize and scaffold people's way to prosperity.
Amen. Amen. Scaffold. Yes. Amen.
Okay, so what we're saying is, when we came to this people country, we learned a lot of stuff. Nothing I'm saying it came from me. It's in their books. They have records of it. Only the government can do that. Our government's not doing that because the food that the seeds that we're supposed to take to plant to get the harvest, they're eating it. And they're giving it to their chicken. They don't care about the harvest. Like, well, the village is not going to eat. I don't care. My family can eat. And they're arrogant about it. They're arrogant about it. The government is the only place. They create the environment. After you create the environment, then the people will build the country. Schools, Singapore, they build schools, intentional about that.
Peter, we have the call.
Yeah, hi, Sister Sandy. This is Emmanuel and Brother Pete.
Hey, Peter. Hey, Emmanuel.
I can barely hear him.
Okay, hold on. Peter, can you hear him now? Okay, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes, the corruption in Liberia goes all the way back from the Tubman administration, which I know it has to be like an international legal approach to really get the wealth back for this country. So is there a way we can, because Liberia is very poor in documentation, so we will have to rely on outside sources to get a lot of financial information of people who have run that country since, I would say, its inception as a country.
Correct.
So how can we approach it? Because you see, when you look at the Liberian situation, the legal system in the country, when you try to go after these guys, they always say, you have to have the document, you have to have it. And then when you go to the court system, they don't have the documents, and legal or advocacy groups that want to see these people persecuted for the kind of crimes they have done against the country, they don't have the source of documentation. Take, for example, when the U.S. Treasury charged all those guys in George Weah government for depleting the Liberian U.S. dollar reserve at the New York Federal Reserve
Federal
Bank.
Reserve. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
people didn't know that. Yep.
yeah, I mean, it was the United States government to do that,
Yep.
and the people in the country, they didn't even know that. So we have to set up an international legal consortium to really go, because these people outside of Liberia, they do have the documents of how these guys have bankrupt this country. So I think that would be the clearest approach, because if we just go after them, in the court of law, they would say, well, what the proof you have? What the proof you have? So we really need to start working. I will work with UNP. I will try in my little way so I can be part of it, because it's hurtful what these people have done to our families. Many of us, we lost so many loved ones in our country for nothing, who had nothing to do with government or politics. They were just sharecroppers. I grew up in Tala, in Kipma, planting coffee, cassava, banana, with my grandparents there. That's where I went to school, and I went to St. John's in Robertsport. So, I never saw them. I never saw them wear a double-breasted suit or put fingernail polish on. We came from school, and we had to go and do a cassava patch. We had to drive up birds from the rice farm.
Yeah.
These are the things we did, and and these other people were just looting the country,
Yep.
putting us under the influence that they're developing a country, and then the coup takes place 1980, and all we see is that this great exposure that the country wasn't really moving in the direction of developing the condition of every Liberian.
So Emmanuel, how about we all hang here and see how we can? At one point, anyway, it's something we can talk about in the back. Since we are almost done here. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for following. Thank you for the star. We appreciate it. Continue to follow, join us. We will create Second Time has a chat room. Let's interact there and brainstorm and see where we are, because we already have a registered 501c3 organization for advocacy and all of that. The biggest problem with Liberia is, even with the Financial Intelligence Unit, the last I checked, that Financial Intelligence Unit could not account for over $800,000 from the last government, the UP government. Yes. And this new government, by the time you turn around, what was the other guy, LACC, $600 and almost $700,000. He went to 6 County and said he spent $700,000. He yet to give us account how he spent almost $700,000 in a week in 6 County. And he yet to tell us. When you turn around, Mo Ali told us that he dug 750 feet where to drilled to pour water into Bubbaloo, and that's almost 17-story high. Why would you do that? It's not logical. Talking to environmental engineers, talking to what do you call it, water resource engineer, hydraulic engineers, they say it does not make sense. So then the stealing in a very short time, it baffles me. And like Peter said, it can't wait. Liberia cannot wait. Anytime you turn around, they think you're in Liberia, the young people. And that's why I tell them, right? Emmanuel, listen up. We'll talk. Let's try to finish up. But let's talk in the back. Let's talk in the back, bro. Thank you so much. We appreciate your voice. Peter, you want to add? Emmanuel will go on listening. So
a couple of things. The reason why what Mo Ali said makes no sense is because it's stupid. Stupid cannot make sense because he lied. Again, Mo Ali is comfortable in the settings of the people he is with. Mo Ali couldn't sit around the intellectuals that I know, that I went to school with, that I work with, and talk and say the things he say. They'll make him feel bad about himself quickly. He's arrogantly taking money, grifting, and acting like we don't see it. Like, that's an insult. That's a spit in the face. Yeah, you did build 750. You dug 750 feet. Sure, you did. Okay, he'll get fired. and he couldn't. He would not be comfortable in that sentence ever. In the sentence of people who are grown men, middle-aged men like myself, will not listen to that insult. I think I have a solution to how we can fix it. And I need people to jump on board with this, and it's constitutional ways to do it to stop the stealing. 100%. I think it was Emmanuel who says that's the first thing you're gonna throw in your face. Where's the evidence? Well, there's not going to be any smoking guns when they didn't use a gun; they use a knife to stab someone, right? So just to use that as an analogy, guys, we're not going to have evidence when the core report came out about the money that was stolen. You know what the final finding was? There's not enough evidence here. We can't say yes or no. Well, that's how investigations happen. Forensics investigation happens in real countries because you have a track. In Liberia, there's no track. They would just kill somebody. They would just murder the auditors. And there was nothing's going to come out of it. And that's part of the problem. You murder the auditors, and the auditor's family just sit there and wait for Jesus. You murder my family, you're gonna have to find me and a couple of my cousins your security is gonna need security. Until we start doing that, it's not gonna stop. Your security gotta need security. Kill people's family, and people are just comfortable with that. And that's what needs to happen. But I think I have a solution outside my other part of it. That's my other solution. The real solution is the constitutional solution. That we can, was this Emmanuel? Emmanuel, this is how we respond
that was Emmanuel. That was Emmanuel. Yes.
We need to empower people to take back the government. Here's how you do it. I keep telling you guys, we need to institute a referendum. We need to have a protest that asks for a referendum. A referendum is a citizen's requested law.
Yeah.
Here's all we want. We shut down the legislature. We shut down the executive. We shut down the government until they put the referendum on the books. This is a democracy. Whatever the citizens want, the citizens get. We have had a bunch of protests. This will be the protest to end our protest. What are we asking for? We ask that they put recall elections on the books. Make that a law in Liberia. Whereas, if we vote for someone and we believe they're corrupt, even if it's without tangible evidence, if we lose confidence in that person's ability to serve us, we get to ask for signatures. If 15%, we can set at whatever percentage we want, 15 or 20% of the people who voted for that person says we need to recall that person, his elected term ends that day. Here's what this does. It puts them all on notice. Mo Ali comes in and steals money. We need Mo Ali fired. Mo Ali, Joseph Boyka, you don't want to fire Mo Ali? That's fine. We get 20% of people who voted for you to sign, and we vote you out that week. This is how you fix it. This is constitutional. We have recall elections where they don't get to finish their term. When the citizens can fire them, this is when, put the numbers to whatever you want. Ask for 30%. If 30% of people say we have no confidence, Joseph Boyka, you came and said no cow gets stuck in Liberia in 100 days. Okay, great. Post 100 days and you've stolen money. Your term, thanks for being president. You were president for exactly 100 days. You are out. You'll be boycott of 100 days. Guys, this is what we need to do. Have recall elections put on the books, and this is how you get rid of corrupt officials. When the officials are answerable to the people, we don't need outside people that we probably don't have no control over. We can't get them to investigate. We can't. Yeah, you work for the UN. You're one person. I understand that. That could kind of help. But when you can fire them and you can fire them right now. They don't get to sell. Darius don't come and say, I'm going to give half my paycheck. I won't take $500, and he doesn't after a year. We don't have to wait for 9 years. 35%, 30% of the people, 25% of the people that voted you in want you out. We lost confidence. Voted no confidence. You're out. We vote for somebody else. That's true democracy, people. That is going to be a beautiful direct democracy. This is how you take the country back. One protest or end all protests. We don't have to. Oh, what's the evidence? Okay, we don't have no evidence. Guess what? Until we can figure out evidence, you're fired. That will fix it. That's my answer. We need to ask for recall election to be put on the books.
In closing, for me, thank you to all of you who tuned in tonight. I also noticed a lot of people watch after we are gone, and that's okay. I know we come on late, so you watch the next day. Thank you for following. Thank you for the last time we in. I think we're like 300. By the time I look, I seen 1,500, 2,000. So that means people are coming back to watch. Our goal here, we're both educators, is to come to educate you, and for you to also educate us, because we want your voice. We want to hear from you. We want to know where you are, and we can meet you where you are. You can meet us where we are, so we can reason together based on our knowledge of learning about the rest of the world to help out. And so we can also see through your eyes, we can see the Liberia you see, and you can also see from our vantage point in Liberia that we are projecting, that we are looking to get. Now, again, when anybody say to you, why don't you go into the Senate? Why don't you go? If you want a true change in Liberia, you will be looking for a person who can change the structure of government. That we don't actually have a business as usual. That the children of Liberia can be prioritized. That the women of Liberia can be respected. When I hear a man say to women, you don't belong here. You are not capable. Peter, let me brag a little bit, please. I have just turned 18 years old. My daughter finished high school literally last year. She's waiting for graduation. She didn't want to do early graduation. Almost, let's say, all of the schools that she applied to, she got accepted in. Some give her complete. I ain't got to pay nothing out of pocket. Academic. Although she's into sports and a lot of stuff. As an educator, when I go to school, and in fact, the young people, and this is no disrespect to our boys, in my classes, the girls are bad. It's like they are focused. Maybe the boys are not getting to that competition yet. Okay, perfect scores. We have some boys that are also competitive, but then we're talking about women. I want to amplify that. When I went to school, I was in science class. We had A and B. Okay, and the tests were not divided into a male and female test. It was the test. Any public test that we take, it is a test. Now, let me say to you, Liberian girls, Liberian women, those that are yet born, when a man tells you you don't belong, that man is insecure. He cannot compete. I'm not interested in your Mano, Gio, Crown, Crew, Basso, Guevo, Loma, Bandi, Kisi. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in Liberia first. Because when you choose a leader, whether you choose them in Monrovia, in Nimba, in Bonn, in Basso, in Grand Island, in Maryland, in County, the decision that they make, it impacts all of us as a nation. And tomorrow night, I will go live. I want to deal with some tribalists who come on this platform to try to, I don't know whether they're trying to bully. I would say in my own word, Peter, you are not intelligent enough to try to bully me. And I've earned my stripes. The world knows my name for my advocacy. Even my state does, but the world does. Millions of people do. When you go on my campus, before I got there, people say, oh, Yasindi this is that. I give my voice, I lend my voice, and I give my everything that I have. We are Liberian first. And maybe if we start seeing our country that way, instead of subdividing it into political subdivision and political parties and who you know in your proximity, then we'll be ready to build. Again, it will take a leader who is willing to build bridges, who are willing to see Liberians, first and foremost are Liberians, and invest in Liberia and prioritize Liberia. And then we will be ready to build. Yes, we need that help. We'll reach out to some lawmakers and see if we can write a referendum. If they don't, we'll protest for it, Peter. But this is my story, my message to you tonight. Liberians, God not coming from heaven to help you. Jesus not coming from the skies. This is your revolution to end, to own. This is your renaissance. This is your change. Nobody's coming. This is where it stands. So I'm going to say good night, Peter. You're closing.
So again, thanks y'all for this time, for the conversation. We're in a very, very tough, perilous position. The world is changing. Unless you don't care about what happens to our people back home, your own family, you need to wake up and do something about it. There's too many games being played, too many people being too distracted until it's too late. Until it's too late. We need to understand that the responsibility of taking care of those people who are back home, those of us who got lucky to come here, anything short of that is a sin. To whom much is given, much is expected. We have to raise our voices. We have to do something about what's going on. This is unattainable. There is no path to prosperity if things continue the way it is. No path. When you hear what Muhammad said tonight, that's their leader saying, I too am going to make a sacrifice for this country, for Ghana. Ask yourself, regardless of what tribe you belong to, what political party, do you believe that the leaders should also make sacrifices for our country? If the answer is yes, are you hearing them make sacrifices for the country? If the answer is no, then why are we picking them? Why are they leading? Are their lives more important than your children's lives and your loved ones' lives? Because they're in government? Only because you're in government means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It's like saying you're a mechanic, or you work with tools, or you're a shoe shine boy. That's your job. Or you build homes, or you're a banker. Doesn't mean that that's your money. They're there to be a public servant. Do these people sound like people who want to serve people, or do they just sound like they think they're better than those people? How is it serving way above the people they're serving? 350 million people are in the United States.
Yep.
5 million people are in Liberia. Our lawmakers make more than the American with $21 trillion in GDP. 1.5 billion is how much of your wealth, your value, your wealth has been taken out of the country. How much of that money do your children see and you see, or our people back home see? I think the question is with you guys. If you don't call for a change of systems, and understand this, those calling for systems, you're going to get a pushback. You're going to get a nasty fight from these people. Guys, in an objective country with objective competition, Joseph Boycott would never win anything. He would never be a manager at McDonald's. He would not be a manager of sweeping the streets, because when there is real competition, he has not demonstrated any value as far as when it comes to merit. He lied and said he's a agriculture person. I want to see him talk agriculture. I have a friend who does agriculture for the United States government.
My uncle also does. He got a PhD in agriculture.
I want to see this man have a discussion about agriculture. I would love to see that. Let's talk about some best practices and modernization of agriculture and what people have been doing. I want to hear him talk about that. I want him to take a camera so we can go see his farm that he talked about. You literally elected a con man, a liar. Guys, you got to hold their feet to the fire. They got to tell the truth. Without truth, nothing goes. The world ain't become a better place until truth became the hallmark of everything. That time period was called the Enlightenment. When people could just make anything up and just say anything, nothing flew, nothing went. So that's my message to our people. We need to press for recall elections. They have in the United States. The only person who cannot be recalled is the president here. But in Liberia, we truly have a governor. We need to put that. He needs to be able to be recalled also. We need to be able to recall all of them. If we elect people and we believe and we truly believe in their ability, then we should know they're not going to get a recall.
Yeah.
But we should all start talking about this recall election, do research on it. This is how we change our country, is by putting the power back in the hands of the people. Good night, guys. It was good talking to you guys, and we'll do it another time.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much for your voice, for your knowledge, for your advocacy, and just helping to shift the word around us and home. Thank you so much. Folks, I'm posting this right here. Why is this here? I think that's where we need to be. Why is it not seen too? Why is it not coming on? Okay. Are you serious? How do I get this to come on? God have mercy. This is new. Okay. Okay, here it is. It's not opening for me. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to bring this down. Okay, folks, I'm trying to get this up. We have a program coming up. Please save the date. Okay, please save the date. Here it is. Please save the date for we will be having a all women, not all women. We've done this before. If you remember the Liberian Women Conference, this is not our first time. I said the first, but it's not the first time. It is. That will be our second get together in PA. We are inviting you. We'll talk more on this Sunday evening. Dr. Richardson and I. We're advocating for women empowerment. Sis Catherine, you just asked about voter education. That is the goal, to empower young people and women. We want to start early, so we're going to be doing a fundraiser in October 18. We're inviting you. Some of you, please inbox me. We'll send you a formal letter. If you cannot, hopefully all of you can show up. All right. We would love to have you so we can brainstorm to see how we can help educate our people before the next election. And not just for the election, but for them to understand the power that they carry. They say power resides where power is recognized. So they'll understand that the power they carry, just like Peter said. That's it. Let me say good night to you. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Share the video or the podcast. Let other people hear what conversation we just had. Thank you and good night.